thank some of the sponsors and supporters that have made this event possible and have made the work of the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center possible. So I want to give you a quick update on what we've been doing, the people behind this, the sponsors that have really helped make this all come together. Two of the people I want to introduce first, Sandra and Terry, are down at the front desk. So we're going to have to catch them later and thank them for the work they do, but two of the real critical, vital staff at the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center. In a moment, I'll also be able to introduce Heather and Chris Multrup, but in between the two groups is Chris Smith over in front of the fireplace. So that's the small team that we've heard about all over the state with programs that are targeted at entrepreneurial support. Really an incredible team, a very dynamic and productive team. I'm going to take a few minutes to just tell you what they've been up to this year. Last week I bumped into the mayor of Midland and she said to me, everybody in town tells me I have to come visit you guys, but none of them told me what you do. That's flattering, but I thought we need to take 5 minutes to reset and make sure everyone understands exactly what we do. And then I want to repeat something that anybody who's heard us talk about our efforts understands and has heard over and over again why startups are so fundamental. Tonight is a celebration of about 50 young companies in Michigan that are populating the lower level with booths and exhibits. They're seeking business support, they're seeking investment capital. Last week I was called to an unusual meeting with a couple of the key economic developers, real estate developers in the region. And they said, you know, we really want to better understand this story you're telling because we're building new infrastructure and we don't have people to populate it. We're living in a continually declining population, but we also don't have new business formation, new company creation. And so that's central to what's so important. Now I'll talk about that and the accomplishments we've made in pursuing those goals. Or maybe I won't. Technology. I'll skip the slides, and that'll make this go even quicker. Key things. I will skip the slides. Why is this important to you? I have a couple classic graphs that demonstrate job creation over the last 25 years in the United States. And if you look at job creation in the United States, over a cycle of 25 years, the U.S. has lost jobs for 25 years if we take startups out of the equation. If we don't have the young companies we see here today in the economy, okay, great, thanks. Well, now I have to recycle where I was. So our job is to find creative, critical support services for startup companies. And that's still going to be a challenge for us. Chris, maybe if they'll click for you, I'll let you. And if not, we'll keep going. Okay, so one of the best ways to measure any business or to understand any enterprise is to understand its goals, its metrics. We measure our success on 3 factors. Capital raised, and that's not money we raise, it's money we assist target growth companies raising. It's helping these 50 companies raise capital. We measure our success on our ability to help companies raise capital. Number 2, to create new jobs. And number 3, to grow their revenues. In the end, it's not investment capital we want them to attain, but real cash flow from customers. Today, we had a workshop from 10 till 2 that really helped startup companies focus on going to market faster. One of the attendees at that workshop came up to me afterwards and said, this is like a laser beam MBA course on exactly what I needed to know to grow my business. I couldn't have thought of a better compliment to the instructors and the team that put that together. So those are our 3 targeted outcomes. We address those through 3 pillars of programs. Access to capital. This building and this facility was used in 2007 for founding meetings of the Blue Water Angels. We had a series of meetings right here. And through that, we brought community players from Midland, from Bay City, from Saginaw, from Mount Pleasant together and said, we need to pool our resources, our diligence, our craftsmanship in finding better ways to fund startups in our region. To date, that group has put over $5 million directly and indirectly into many of the startups in the region. If you do 250,000 a startup, that means we're touching a lot of companies. Blue Water Angels has grown to be the largest angel network in the state. We've spawned a spin-out organization in Traverse City. So it's the largest, most active angel group in a very, very short time. And many of you in this room are the people that made that happen. So. The two other pillars are access to talent. How do we bring bring leadership and entrepreneurs and successful talent that can help grow these new businesses. I was doing a similar role in St. Louis, Missouri in the mid-90s, and we did a sister city program with Seattle. And Seattle sent one of their lead economic developers, Bill Gates Sr., down to give a presentation. And he said, he had these slides, and he had pictures of what a dismal place Seattle was to live in. The war economy had ended, Boeing was on its knees, unemployment was growing. It was the suicide capital of the world. It had the worst weather of any major urban community in America. Who would want to live in Seattle? The Seattle civic leaders banded together and said, the first and most important thing we can do is make Seattle a place smart people want to live. And they passed the largest economic development bond that targeted no economic development. It targeted parks and riverfronts, things like this stadium, things like a community that is an attractive place for great people to live. If you look at the best companies in Seattle, none of them are there for natural resources found in Seattle. Whether it's Amazon, whether it's coffee, there's no access to coffee unique in Seattle. So Starbucks happens to be there, Microsoft happens to be there, Amazon happens to be there. And so building a critical infrastructure is, or what we call an ecosystem for entrepreneurship, are these other pillars, Chris. The hard slide to read, but this is just metrics on the dollars we've raised for startups, the jobs created, grants obtained. You can't read all of the numbers because of the shading, but all of those grants attained for target companies, angel investing, follow-on funding are all multi-million-dollar results now, with over 300 jobs attributed to the capital raised. So again, I would applaud these sponsors. To better understand the types of programs we're doing, today they're recognized around the state. As an angel network, we found out we had way too many companies coming forward wanting guidance, and so we set up a program called Boost and a program called Pitch, where we aggregate those companies. We do elevator pitch competitions, and we try to align you young entrepreneurs or older entrepreneurs with the best support resources in the community, not necessarily immediate funding of that business. In addition, we've set up a network with smaller incubators around the state. That was the original intention. We're a small incubator in Midland. What could we do on our own? We needed more capacity. And so we said, we'll go out to the other small communities. And the first place that called for a Boost event was the Chamber of Commerce of Detroit. When we just did a medical technology showcase with Covenant Hospital in Saginaw, Michigan. We showcased 6 of the state's top medical technologies and raised $250,000 the first week for the first company on the list. We have term sheets for 2 of those other companies now in circulation. The evening will probably produce $500,000 of seed capital for startups around the state. Chris and I went down to some meetings in Detroit, and Henry Ford Hospital in Techtown, the largest incubator in the state, said, we'd like to do that program down here. We thought we were going to be going to Marlette, Muskegon, and we are. But these programs are being recognized statewide, and I think that's a compliment to the talent that we're working with on staff here, the Blue Water Angel members that contribute time and energy, and in particular, a small community that continues to grow out of Dow Chemical. And so, is Christine here? And Willie, can you guys stand up? Frank? You know, we've got a small group here. And this is something really unusual and I think unique about entrepreneurship. There's a belief that we've got these great big companies and what good could they do for startups? These people do a phenomenal amount of good for us in time, in energy, in in-kind services, in printing books, in producing collateral material, in helping us pull together events like tonight. So can you 3 of you stand up, and we want to thank you. You can come through these real quick. Any of you familiar with the Innovation Center have seen it go through some tremendous transformations. Ted Doan created this initiative well over a decade ago, understanding the need for entrepreneurship and incubation and what could we do in smaller communities and smaller towns. That began with a building, and we really were a building-centric incubator, and that is what incubators looked like 10, 15 years ago. Companies needed facilities, they needed buildings and networks and computer systems that were isolated in the facilities. By 2008, we were in a transition period and the economy hit Midland. It hit our major foundations, it hit our major donors, it hit the corporations, and everything in our business went to standstill. But at the same time, there was a major transformation in the thinking of what do we need for entrepreneurial support, and that was programming. And so today, we've moved to, next slide, Chris. Okay. We've moved to a beautiful new facility. Please come by and see us. This facility is, again, part of the in-kind service and support we get from Dow. It's populated by entrepreneurs. We have meetup rooms, we have conference rooms. We run TEDx talks every week so people can come and hear and talk. We have guest speakers, educational workshops. We'll keep going, yeah. Real quickly, we have a sponsor. The next slide, we'll try again. So today our programs are run around the state, but we still call this Mission Central. Next slide. But this was the last point I really want to make about why. So why does this matter to all of you, whether you're directly involved with us or not? On a national basis, on a local basis, the top line is total job creation in the United States over a 25-year cycle. The red line is job creation without startups. Next slide. 25 years of growth, we don't have job creation. We can have an economic recovery with 3% growth in GNP without any job creation. Next slide. Most people don't appreciate that in 2008, the United States actually lost more jobs than we lost in 2008. Or excuse me, in 2002, we lost more jobs. We don't remember that as a Great Recession. But next slide. We lost more jobs in 2002, but we replaced them. We had new job creation. In 2008, we lost jobs, but we had no replacements. And replacements have continued to decline, primarily for lack of a supportive environment. And the most important element of that is capital. Seed capital for startups came largely out of home equity, and since 2008, that's an untouchable market. The nicest bankers in the world, the most sincere, concerned bankers we work with, aren't legally able to touch that market. And so all of us need to think about what we can do to address this core problem. And that's probably the central mission and the central challenge that MMIC has targeted. It doesn't mean we don't need a lot of other educational and support programs for our entrepreneurs. You can see we do. We're working hard at that. But no issue is more profound than this one. And so I think this ability to partner with investors tonight and the companies that are showcasing, for those of you who represent Blue Water or a venture fund here with us tonight, the companies that are here value this evening because they get to talk to you. Not because they got a check, but because they get to talk to you and learn. Chris brought a team up from Wisdom in Detroit and brought a group, I believe, from Cleveland as well tonight. And they came not for checks, they came for knowledge. They came for learning from all of you, from talking to other entrepreneurs and gaining from their experiences. So with that said, it means I better shut up because the real value of the evening is the networking that's going to follow. But I do want to do one thing, which is to turn the floor over to Heather and Chris. And I talked a bit about, as the two of them work their way forward, we're going to begin the evening award ceremonies with the Pivot Award. We said we've been doing this for 8 years now, and we went from a real estate-centric business. Even a year ago, 85% of our income came from rental income from our tenants. Today, that's down to less than 8%. That's a huge pivot, entrepreneurs. 80% of your revenue stream changes, complete lines of business. So nobody has pivoted more to Mr. Chris Moltrup, who's been with the Innovation Center from its birth.
Thanks, Ken. And thank all of you for being here tonight. We do have two sets of awards that that we'll be giving out tonight. First one, Heather and I have the honor to present, and this is to, it's called our MidMichigan Innovator Award. This is to recognize the person's innovation and leadership, which has significantly enhanced the entrepreneurial environment in the Mid-Michigan region. There's many of you in this room, or some of you in this room, that are on this list, and continue to support the ecosystem, as Ken mentioned it. Now, unfortunately, our first recipient is out of town this evening at a board meeting on one of the many boards that he serves on, but he is arguably the only, or one of the only venture capitalists in the state that realizes there's actually business happening north of I-69. And he comes up here quite often. He's always willing to talk to entrepreneurs, come to the big leagues. This is the first time he hasn't been here. And always willing to take a meeting and review a business plan. So he was a key person in the formation and the continued growth of Blue Water Angels, and is still a member and a great supporter. So we'd like to honor Lindsay Aspergren from Northwest Dakota. Our second awardee this year, we always do a minimum of two, is fairly new to the region. Actually only been in Michigan for just over a year. As a world traveler, a serial entrepreneur, and an incredibly devoted marketing mentor to all of our Innovation Center clients. So without much further ado, I'd like to introduce Randall Montalbano of Monmouth Group. Randall's one of those great mentors where he's not afraid to tell our clients the truth, whether they like it or not. So, with that, it is now our honor to introduce Mrs. Junie Adone and invite Mr. Kankuski back to the stage to award our next award.
Keep it short, Junior. These are words I heard once in the middle of a presentation of some remarks about Ted. It was at the dedication of the History Center, which he had declined and declined and declined. Ted was modest, a nice quality, but he gave people respect and dignity, and he made them feel that what they were doing was important, that they were important. But it was necessary and fun, even, to take a risk on new things. Yes, it might be hard. Yes, the challenges might be great, but problems were interesting. And so he had a sense of tenacity and long view, you might say, with people and with projects. And as you heard, he planted seeds around this community and beyond. And that's what we all do, really, is to plant seeds. So this award, although it's named after Ted, is really about playing it forward, the way I look at it anyway, that in our times, in these times, we are the ones to nourish the plants, we are the ones to plant the seeds, we are the ones to see that it happens. And so this person has, and I want you all to win the award at some point, okay? So in these times, in our times, play it forward, and where is my winner? And incidentally, I dropped off an earring kissing someone, so if you I would appreciate it.
Well, Junia, I don't think I've ever heard you introduce this award without saying something new and equally inspirational. And I think it puts a special challenge on us finding people that can live up to that role model that you outlined. So tonight's recipient is a technologist that came from California, not Saginaw Bay, but that other bay. Not the Zilwaukee Bridge, but that other bridge. But he also brought many of the characteristics that Ted was able to bring. The knowledge and the wisdom of big enterprise, yet the passion for the small enterprise. It's hard to be able to live equally in both worlds. It's hard not to get lost in the little issues in a small enterprise or the big issues in a big enterprise. But this individual has been able to address both. As a board member for the Mid-Michigan Innovation Center, this individual has been able to provide leadership and guidance and coaching through that difficult 2008, a very, very difficult period for everybody in the community. But we had steadfast leadership and support from a board member who could talk to me about what it's like to run a small business because his dad ran a small business. And he could leave my meeting after we talked about where we were going to get $40,000 and talk about a $400 million adjustment in the same 2 hours. But what I admire most, and I've never been able to live up to this, I've never seen anybody else better able to live up to this, every text, every email is responded to in minutes. No matter where in the world this guy is, within 2 or 3 minutes, I'll get something back from a phone or from an email. Right on target, right on time, and always relevant. And so tonight, it's really a unique honor to recognize Dave Kettler, Chairman of our board. Say something.
I gotta say something. You set me up, so I was wondering why my wife was here. Why you wouldn't tell me. Actually, you lied about it had received this. So,
We're just about to walk in here, and Dave says, "Who gets it?"
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, it's been really a great journey here trying to make this transformation from something that was Ted's vision to really transition into how we want to try to build this into a community that can really foster the entrepreneurship we have. I mean, this community really charged up when an entrepreneur 115 years ago with about $500 came into the community with an idea, and we just need a few more of those to come forward and build on that leadership and the innovation we've had in the community. So thank you very much for being here. Really would encourage folks to go downstairs and really see what we're trying to develop at MidMichigan, because I think